Welcome and thanks for joining us today at the Women in Business launch event. My name's Sophie Bryan and I work in the Partnership Finance team in the Insurance Premium Finance division, and I'm also the chair of the Women in Business Committee. The Women in Business Committee was set up in February 2019 with the aim of supporting the business to achieve its target of hitting 50% of women in senior positions by 2022, which is all part of the Women in Finance Charter that we signed last year. The committee itself is made up of 3 sponsors: Linda Brennan, Simon Quick and Tony Hill-Hodges, myself as the chair, Keely Downing as the deputy chair, and then we have a further 11 members across Solihull and Belfast. And in Belfast, your key contacts are Gemma Owen and Geraldine Rice. So what have we been up to since February? Well, I've split this up into 3 main areas: research, metrics and goals. From a research perspective, the first thing we did was we pulled on our own personal experience. Was there anything that we'd experienced in the past that potentially would have held us back? Are there any blockers that we're aware of in the business that might actually restrict people from wanting to progress? Or are there myths? Is there a myth that perhaps the more senior that you get, the more restricted your role becomes? And finally, we looked at science. Is there something different in a man's psyche to a woman's psyche that might actually stop them from applying for a role? Next, we looked at our metrics. We really wanted to understand our people, so we took a pool of data, and the first thing we looked at was how many women in our business were in senior positions. At the moment that sits at 38%, so a little bit off where we need to be. We then broke that data down even more and split it into 3 areas: attraction, retention and attrition. Attraction being how many people were female that actually applied for a job in the business, how many of those people were then taken into an interview stage, and then how many of those people were then hired. And then from a retention perspective, how many people in the business were male and female who are in our current senior leadership programs. And finally, how many women then left and what was the reason for them leaving. This then made us realise straight away what we needed to do. We had some clear goals. There definitely weren't enough women coming through the door in the first place, so we needed to amend our recruitment strategy. And next, there also weren't enough women being put through to the senior leadership programs. So again, we need to do some work around that to have a look at perhaps the visibility and why those people aren't necessarily being put forward. We obviously have our overarching goal of meeting 50% of women in senior roles by 2022. But we also needed to set some further goals to make sure we knew where to best spend our time. So we split these down into 3 different areas: awareness, talent pool management and visibility. From an awareness perspective, we just need to keep understanding our people. So we need to keep doing more and more analysis. One of the things that we're going to be interpreting is the GPS survey, and off of the back of that, we're going to be inviting you to give us some feedback. From a talent pool management perspective, we need to get better at talking about what's available for people, understanding why people aren't putting themselves forward, and now identify if there are any blockers. And then from a visibility perspective, it's getting ourselves out there a bit more, offering mentoring, offering support, and basically launching our network a bit further, which I'll come onto a little bit later. So what's next from us? It's really important to us that we really understand our people, so we're going to continue with that analysis and continue with our feedback sessions. We really want to get to understand why people aren't necessarily putting themselves forward for things. Is there a genuine blocker, a preconception, or perhaps it's just a confidence thing? But either way, we'd really like to understand it so we can help support you the best that we can. Be a number of events that are coming up, so please watch out for those. And we'll be also offering mentoring as part of this programme. We'll be talking more about the development platforms and making you fully aware of things that are available to you that might help you with your career progression. And finally, we'll be working on our network. We're going to be offering a network that runs alongside the committee. Anybody that's part of the network will be offered one-on-one support. So if you are looking for that support, it'd be a really good opportunity for you to join us. If you would like to join the network, then please do get in touch and email us at womeninbusiness@bnpparibas-pf.co.uk. We'd be really delighted to hear from you. Well, that's everything from me today, so I'm going to pass you over to Claire Moore, Director of Operations, who's going to talk to you about her experience of being a senior woman in business.